Hello everyone, welcome to today's second stimulus check update video. So in this video we would discuss what we know so far regarding the second stimulus check or the stimulus package or the HEALS Act or the extended unemployment benefits that's currently being discussed and negotiated in Congress. I've gone through the current news and all the information available, and these are the most relevant ones and the most important ones that I've found, so I'd like to share that with you guys. As always, I will link them in the description below. If you want to check those articles out yourself, feel free to do so. If you want to do your own research and dig deeper into them, you will find the link to these articles in the description of this video. Also, just a friendly reminder, this is not a political channel. This is a channel on personal finance and investing. Obviously, we will be talking about members of the Congress and members of different political parties. Regardless of which political party you support, please let's be respectful towards each other in the comment section below. With that being said, let's dive right into it. So, the first article is from the Chicago Tribune. Second stimulus check updates. Minor progress reported in slow-going coronavirus bill negotiations as some Democrats demand a line in the sand. So, off the bat, it doesn't sound very good. So, let's dive into it. Negotiators on a huge coronavirus relief bill reported slight progress after talks resumed in the Capitol, with issues like food for the poor and aid to schools struggling to reopen, safely assuming a higher profile in the talks. We are really getting an understanding of each side's position, and we're making some progress on certain issues, moving closer together, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. After the meeting, Pelosi told her Democratic colleagues in a call that she's hopeful a deal could be reached this week, but doesn't know if it's possible. According to a Democratic aide who spoke on condition of anonymity to describe the private discussion. Neither side has budged from their positions, with Democrats demanding an extension of the $600 per week supplemental unemployment benefit that's credited with propping up the economy. Republicans have yet to offer any aid to states to prevent furloughs, layoffs, and cuts to services. Both will have to compromise before a deal can be agreed to. The $600 unemployment insurance benefit is essential because there are no jobs to go back to, House Democrat Caucus Chair Hakeem Jeffries in New York said on MSNBC. We've got to help out everyday Americans. That's a line in the sand. Senate Republicans, facing re-election in this fall's turbulent political environment, are among the most anxious for an agreement. Senator John Cornyn said Monday that the chamber should not go on recess without passing the huge relief measure, and Senator Lindsey Graham offered a jobless benefit proposal that's more generous than a pending GOP alternative. Both are facing closer than hoped re-election bids in states that should be easy hold for Republicans. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, a lead negotiator for President Donald Trump, said Monday, "We continue to make a little bit of progress, and that the administration is not insistent on a small bore approach centered on extending the supplemental unemployment benefit and leaving other items for later. A GOP move to advance a slimmed-down relief package has been a recent point of conflict, with Democrats insisting there must be a comprehensive deal. We're open to a bigger package if we can reach an agreement," Mnuchin said. So they are open to a bigger package. So I think that is a key takeaway here. On the Senate floor, McConnell re-upped his complaint that Democrats are taking too tough a line. McConnell is not a direct participant in the talks, but is likely to be an important force in closing out any potential agreement. Speaking to reporters after the 2-hour session, Democratic negotiators pressed the case for additional food aid, funding for the postal office, and the $600 per week jobless benefit that lapsed last week. The benefit has helped sustain consumer demand over recent months as the coronavirus has wrought havoc. Pelosi wants to extend it through January at a $400 billion plus cost, while Republicans are proposing an immediate cut to $200 and then replacing the benefit with a cumbersome system that would attempt to provide 70% of a worker's replacement wage. It was productive, we're moving down the track, we still have our differences. We're trying to have a clearer understanding of what the needs are, and the needs are that millions of children in our country are food insecure, Pelosi said. Most members of the Democratic-controlled House have left Washington and won't return until there is an agreement to vote on, but the GOP-led Senate is trapped in the Capitol. I can't see how we can go home and tell people we failed, so I think that's going to be a lot of pressure on everybody to come up with something, said Cornyn. It really is a matter of will. It's not a matter of substance at this point. This is just a painful period between people finally deciding, okay, we want a deal, and then what that deal will ultimately look like. Areas of agreement already include another round of $1,200 direct payment and changes to the Paycheck Protection Program to permit especially hard-hit businesses to obtain another loan under generous forgiveness terms. So guys, from what we're reading so far, from what we're seeing in multiple sources, is that the $1,200 direct payment or the stimulus check, I think both parties agree on the $1,200 payment. It's just the details of the terms, which we will look in a minute in another article, is where they are differing in opinion. Like, one group is saying we should give it to dependents under 17 years old. Another party is saying that we should probably extend it to all dependents regardless of their age. But I think the $1,200 basic payment, I think that would remain the same. It's just this additional benefit for additional dependents is what will change in the second stimulus check. So let me know in the comments below if you guys agree with me on that. Breaking news newsletter. On unemployment, Pelosi said she'd consider reducing the $600 benefit for people in states with lower unemployment rates. Republicans want to cut the benefit to encourage beneficiaries to return to work and say it is bad policy since it pays many jobless people more money than they made at their previous jobs. Graham, among the other Republicans who most aggressively protested the $600 benefit when it passed in March. But on Monday, he said that he wants to replace it with a system ensuring 100% of replacement wages, meaning the government would try to pay people as much to not work as to work. The House passed a $3.5 trillion measure in May, but Republicans control the Senate have demanded a slower approach, saying it was necessary to take a pause before passing additional legislation. Since they announced the strategy, coronavirus caseloads have spiked and the economy has absorbed an enormous blow. The Senate GOP draft measure carries a $1.1 trillion price tag, according to an estimate by the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Republicans have not released any estimates of their own. So guys, I do think this is an important article with some key takeaways here. So let me know what you guys think of this. Also, I try not to cover information I've already covered in the past stimulus check update videos. So if you have time, I recommend checking out the second stimulus check playlist that I've created. I will leave that in the iCard here. If you have the time, I recommend checking that out. Also, if you have useful information, please put them in the comments below. If you have a URL or some other information like that, help out the community so others can find that information quickly and easily. Also, if you think someone will find this information useful, feel free to share this video with them as well. So moving on to the next article, it is from CNET.com. Will you receive the full $1,200 stimulus check? Not necessarily. Here's where things stand. Heading into the second week of debate over another economic relief package, one item both parties agree on is a second stimulus check worth up to $1,200. Just what I said near the end of the previous article. There's enormous bipartisan support for a second payment, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said on ABC's This Week on Sunday, but there's no guarantee you'll get the full amount of the stimulus check. You could get less than the $1,200, or depending on the bill's final eligibility requirements, your family could receive an even larger amount than what they did in the first stimulus payment. While the Republican-backed HEALS Act would offer some families an additional $500 for dependents who were skipped the first time, the Democrat-led House of Representatives and President Donald Trump's have each proposed that more people qualify with a higher threshold of stimulus money per family. It isn't likely at this stage of the negotiation, which lawmakers want to conclude by this Friday. What does this mean for your size of stimulus check? And how much money could your family get with the next payment? We will check that out in a second. How much of the $1,200 second stimulus check could you end up getting? The Senate's HEALS Act offers an upper limit of $1,200 per qualified person, but that doesn't mean you'll be able to get it all. Your tax filing status helps determine your share among other factors. The first stimulus check left out child dependents who were 17 or older and university students under 24 years old. The Republican plan would include $500 for dependents regardless of age, such as children and adults you claim in your tax filings. The calculations can be tricky and depend on aspects of your 2019 taxes, such as your AGI or adjusted gross income, and whether you filed as single, married, or head of household. Though we can't say for sure that the figures below follow the IRS's calculation, this handy calculator that the Washington Post put together for the first stimulus check could shed some light on what you might get if the HEALS Act were to pass as is. So guys, I will link this article in the description, and you could go to this article and go to this URL to get to this calculator if you want to calculate that for yourself. But we will take a look at a few scenarios right now that does cover a broad range of scenarios and should cover most people. So scenario number one is someone who has filed the 2019 taxes as single and has made $80,000. They have no dependents, whether they're under 17 or over 17, no dependents whatsoever. So their check amount would be $950. And for scenario number two, that individual filed taxes in 2019, but as head of household, and their income was $140,000. They had one child dependent and no adult dependents, and they ended up getting $1,325. In the next scenario, we will see someone who have not filed the 2019 tax returns. They were married, made $130,000 that year, and they have two children, no older dependents, so they received a check of $3,400. Finally, scenario number four, they did not file taxes in 2019. They were married and made $130,000 that year. They do have two children and two adult dependents, and they received a paycheck of $4,400. So I think this range of scenarios gives everyone at least a close approximation based on their situation of how much they could get. Obviously, everyone's exact situation is different, but this should give a ballpark idea of how much you can receive based on what your scenario is the closest to, as shown here. How the second stimulus check could be different. At this point, it's unlikely for the stimulus check cap to exceed $1,200, but it's possible that individuals and families could get more money if more people qualify. Chances are low at this point, but here's what the House of Representatives HEROES Act, which isn't law, proposed. So guys, before I move on any further, just a quick statement. I do agree that the $1,200 check, that should be the baseline, and given where we are in terms of timeline, I have a strong feeling that would remain the baseline at this point, but the details associated with that, like the dependents and everything else, that is still subject to negotiation. So, moving on. Children's independence, $1,200 payment. The HEALS Act stipulates a $500 apiece. Families, households would qualify for a maximum payment of $6,000 total, capped at 5 family members receiving $1,200 apiece. People who aren't U.S. citizens, non-citizens who file tax returns, pay taxes, and otherwise comply with federal tax law using an ITIN instead of a social security number would qualify for a payment. And guys, here is an interesting piece of the article where they go over some previous stimulus check proposals that was presented. So guys, let's take a better look at some of the other proposals of the second stimulus check. So the first proposal was $0, and it was proposed by the White House. And the proposal details were that the payroll tax cut would be given so workers could keep more off their paycheck. And how likely is that? It is quite unlikely to replace the stimulus check. The next one is also a proposal for $0 by the White House, but they would give a business tax break for companies who don't furlough workers. Once again, this is also quite unlikely. The third proposal is also by the White House, but they proposed less than $1,200, and they proposed smaller checks targeted at low-income Americans. Also unlikely, but fewer may be eligible. Then the $1,200 proposed second stimulus check that was proposed by the House of Representatives. This is part of the HEROES Act passed by the House in May. This is quite likely, possibly with fewer people qualifying. The next one is more than $1,200 proposed by the White House, as stated by President Donald Trump. This is less likely, but possible. The next proposal would be $2,000 a month till the economy recovers, and this was proposed by more than 150 economists. They call it emergency money payment for Americans to continue spending, one road to economic recovery. Now, obviously, open-ended payments are quite unlikely to pass. The next one is also a $2,000 a month till 3 months after the pandemic ends. This was proposed by Senator Kamala Harris. The payments through the end of the pandemic and 3 months after, and this is open-ended payment, so once again, quite unlikely to pass. Another $2,000 a month for up to 12 months, proposed by Representative Ro Khanna. Monthly payments up to a year. The Senate is unlikely to agree to a sum this large even with an expiration date. Finally, a $4,000 travel tax credit proposed by the White House. A temporary tax credit to cover individual and family travel expenses meant to rev up local economies. Once again, quite unlikely to replace the stimulus check. When will Congress make a stimulus check decision? Well, with the two sides are now working out the details of the new proposal with eye on the August 7th deadline. This is the deadline Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell set to pass another stimulus bill before a planned month-long recess. If an agreement can't be reached, it's possible the House and Senate will push back their respective recesses and extend the current sessions in Washington. Here's more on the timeline, including when the IRS could send the first checks. If you're still waiting for your first stimulus check, here are 10 possible reasons for the delay, what you can do if you think your payment is lost or has fallen through the cracks, and if you could receive 2 refund checks from the IRS. So guys, as always, some useful URLs at the bottom of this article, so if you want to check it out, feel free to do so. Also, there are some URLs if you want to check out the details of some of the proposals that we discussed in this article. But overall, it does seem like the negotiations are going well. As updates come out, I will obviously keep you posted. I'm not exactly excited about the fact that we're so close to the deadline, but I do like the fact that they would consider pushing back the recess if they are unable to reach the decision by August 7th. So that does put me at ease to a certain extent, but I do hope it does not come to that. So guys, these are all the latest news that we have to share with you today. As more information comes to light, I will keep you guys updated. So if you guys want to remain updated on the second stimulus check updates and the stimulus package developments, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel so you always know exactly when these videos come out and you could remain up to date. So guys, if you like to see videos like this, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. It helps me know that you guys found this video helpful. So that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.